Hello everyone, welcome to me,
you,
and Doctor Who. A intro subject to change. Welcome to our first podcast that we have ever done.
That's right.
Yeah, my name's Julia, by the way. Over here I have my lovely co-host.
I'm Hailey.
And we're gonna be your introductions or continuations into Doctor Who, because the whole premise of this show will basically be me. I'm like a former fan, I guess. Former current fan. I was super into it in middle school, super into high school, fell off for a bit, and found out my good friend Hailey here never truly watched it, and I was like, let's just make a podcast out of it. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? So we're gonna basically get started with, we're basically going to use this episode as like an introduction episode. This isn't gonna be an official episode. It's just really sort of a moment to just get to know us, who you're listening to, try to tell the difference between our voices, because I know I have a lot of like trouble figuring that out when I'm listening to other people doing podcasts. When there's multiple people, I can never tell their voices apart.
Never.
So I'm gonna go first. Haley's gonna go second. We're gonna talk about who we are, what our backgrounds are, I guess how we met, how much we exactly know about Doctor Who, and all that junk. So I think I'm just gonna go first.
Yeah, you take the floor.
Yeah, thank you.
Anytime. Monsieur.
So I'm gonna say my name is Julia. I also sometimes go by Mars, just because that's a fun name. Should we say our pronouns?
Probably.
So I go by kind of any pronouns, they, he, she. I don't really care. We should talk about like where we're from in America, because I know we might have like some British people. I know it's very clear we're Americans covering a British TV show, so I'm very nervous about British people coming to this podcast and making fun of us, but we're gonna make fun of them back. All in good fun. So I'm from I'll say the southern part of the United States. If you guys don't know where that is, it's like the Bible Belt around there. For college, I moved up to New York. Me and Hailey went to the same college. I'm sure we'll talk about that in just a second.
Right.
And after college, I graduated, and I'm still here. I'm still in New York. I am an artist by trade. I try to do animations, illustrations, cartoons. That's just stuff I do in my free time. I have like a regular like blue collar job that I actually get money from. This podcast is just going to be like a fun hobby thing that I do with friend. We're going to talk about the differences between us. I'm the one who watched Doctor Who. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Hailey?
Hello, I'm Hailey. I use she, her pronouns, and I am from New York State. I live about an hour outside of the city, so I did not have to travel too far to go to college, where we met, as we will talk about in a bit. And I also recently graduated. Julia graduated a year before me, but I graduated this past May in illustration. I'm an illustrator, story artist, writer. I'm currently in the process of querying my own children's book, so hopefully I can get that published sometime soon. I don't know diddly squat about Doctor Who, or we'll get into that more, but I only really know it through like pop culture references and the couple of episodes that I've watched with Julia over the past year or so. So this is going to be a pretty fun ride, and to try and tell my voice apart, I guess you can keep out for like little slippings of accent here and there. Predominantly when I say words like dog or like we're all going, you'll hear the New Yorkers slip
Or when you
out.
go ma.
Ma, yeah.
So that's another difference between us. I'm the southerner, you're the northerner.
Exactly. And I am in the process of moving to New Jersey right now, so I have a lot of free time on my hands, but once I am there, I'm hoping to try and find my own blue-collar, quote-unquote, normal job.
The normie job. While we do our Doctor Who podcast. I should say that, like, when you say this past May, I guess May 2024, because I have no idea. No idea when this episode is going to come out, because we're recording this in advance. We don't in this moment in time, we don't have all the podcast stuff set up.
Right, good point.
And so we're just recording these in advance, so once we do have it all set up, we can just hurry up and, like, you know, get the episodes out there, and hopefully we can just, like, time just flies while we make this stuff. So this podcast is basically going to be, audience-wise, we're aiming for, like, anyone who's interested in Doctor Who, like former, current, and newer fans, specifically people like me also who spent the 2010s on Tumblr, and kind of went a little bit insane over certain doctors. I shan't say who.
I'm sure we'll figure it out.
The structure of these episodes are basically going to be like, we talk about what we're expecting for an episode, then me and Hailey off screen watch the episode together, and then we basically do like an analysis over it. We talk about what we liked, what we didn't like. I think I'll talk about probably maybe the state of the fandom when the episodes were released, maybe trivia about the episodes for Hailey to find out, because I think it would be fun, little fun facts to do. And and we're basically making this just to, like, sort of approach older episodes, since I think, when did the first episode come out? I don't know, like early 2000s or something, I guess. Yeah.
Don't ask me.
I mean, I would be the one to know. I don't know for sure. I think it's early 2000s with the Ninth Doctor. And we just kind of also want to approach it with a sort of refreshed analysis. I know there's, like, there's some quips in the show. I'm thinking of one specifically right now that maybe didn't age the best, but...
Oh, that's the best. I love that.
Yeah, we could definitely talk about that, and just, like, talk and show Hailey the wonderful world of, like, aliens with multiple hearts. So with introductions out of the way, I think we could talk about, like, the information about this podcast that, like, just, like, the little factoids, like, this podcast is probably going to be family friendly. We're going to make a rule of, like, if a word isn't said in the show, we're not going to say it in the podcast. So there's a few words we can get away with, like damn and hell.
Right.
There's four specific words we can get away with, because, you know, very helpfully, the Doctor Who fandom has made a page on the wiki specifically for swearing, for what kind of swearing they do on the show. So that's been very helpful. We'll be covering new Who content. We're not going to really delve into classic Who, unfortunately, as charming as it is. I think there's other podcasts that do that are pretty good. I'll probably link them in the description.
Maybe in the future, just not anytime soon.
Yeah. I'll definitely bring up if they reference, like, old Who. They'll definitely reference the Fourth Doctor, because he had such, like, an iconic like presence back in the day. But we're gonna start with the Ninth Doctor, because that's when New Who started with season 1, and then we're gonna be continuing from there. You know, we'll also be covering the subsequent specials and all that. And we will also be just the main host for this podcast, although we are super open to guests. We are already planning on having, like, a few of our friends on. We have, like, one friend of ours who's, like, already a podcaster, so we're like, please come on our show, please.
We haven't begged for advice for weeks. Definitely not.
We definitely haven't called her and be like, please help us. We don't know what we're doing.
How does any of this work?
What's Audacity?
Name definitely doesn't start with an E.
Yeah. But hopefully she'll be on. She's really cool. With all that information out of the way, I think we could get into super details about, like, oh wait, we didn't even talk about how we met. Let's talk about real quick before we get into, like, what we know about the show. How did we meet? Do you want to talk about that a little? Like, what was your experience?
Yeah, so we went to the same college, and we both were in animation. I started in animation, and the way it works I don't know if this is in every major, but for this school, for animation, they have, like, blocks that you can pick from, where you're going to have the same class each time all going to, or, like, the same group of people going to the different classes, and I picked the same block that Julia was in.
Yeah,
so
at least for freshman year, it was like a block system.
Exactly. And the first time that we met outside of class was, I think, like, maybe the first or second week. We met at, like, a one-shot that the D&D club was hosting, and we were like, hey, I know you. You're in my class. And I'm pretty grateful that the system was like that, because I liked like being with you guys regularly and getting to interact with and learn more about all of you as the classes went on. And I mean, so I did eventually change my major. I did animation for 2 years. Realized I'm still very passionate about animation, and I would love to work in animation as like a concept artist, a character designer. I want to start getting into prop design, but I realized that actually animating is not for me. I don't have the patience for it. It's not something I'm good at. It's not something I really enjoy doing. So I was like, okay, I need to switch to illustration, because that's more about actually drawing, because that's what I like to do, is to just sit and focus on a piece for a while. And I'm very grateful that I changed. I think the curriculum fits me and what I like to do a lot better, but I wouldn't change having gone to animation, because otherwise I wouldn't have met you.
Yeah, animation is rough. rough. My thesis was so stressful. But I think, well, okay, so what was it like? We did freshman year together, and we started to become like casual friends, and we hung out. Mm-hmm. Then
because then the pandemic
hit. Okay, so just to like timeline it, I think like in the last fourth of our freshman year, the pandemic straight up hit, and we all just like got locked up in our dorms and did the rest of our like finals for like the entire year just inside our dorms. And I remember they got I mean, thank God they were so easy, the finals. Like, the teachers kind of accepted anything, which I really appreciate, because it was a very stressful time. I don't say that lightly. We got away with it. I think it was a very distressing time, and very glad we were able to pass those classes. But I think then what happened was that after the pandemic, we spent sophomore year entirely at home during COVID. And then I think when it was junior year, I was like, okay, because I went back to my hometown and did college like online. And then I was like, okay, well, junior year I got to go back up, and which means I need to get a dorm roommate. And I was just like, who of my friends am I gonna call? Who are you gonna call? I called Hailey, and I was like, do you want to be dormies? You want to be roomies? And I think you were just like, oh yeah, what did you say? You had like a super extra big dorm you were in?
Oh yeah, because I won't take long, I promise. But because I was in the dorms by myself for the majority of 2020, and I remember I showed up for the door. Let's say just for the sake of it that it was on the 12th floor, like I was gonna have 1205 or whatever. And we show up, and I had it for months, and they confirmed, yep, you're in 1205. And we open it, and there's all this, there's house plants and crates and wheelie bins, and they're like, oh, sorry, we've been using this room as storage. And so they're panicking now, okay, we gotta find an extra room for this girl. And they're like, okay, there's an extra large room on the 13th floor that nobody has. Do you want that to make up for it?
Yes,
I was like,
please.
Of course.
So I think by the time I came in, you were still using that room, and it was this much bigger room than usual, because usually the rooms are they feel like squares. You have one bed on one side and a bed on the other. It was a long. Yeah. I can't say that word. It was a long rectangle, and we just got so much space. It was really great. And we spent the junior and senior year in that dorm, and it was just a really fun time. We just watched a bunch of movies. I showed you Blink in that dorm, because I think that was a good standalone Doctor Who episode.
We watched that on Halloween, actually, and then because we watching.
I think we watched it in parts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. Because it was in parts on YouTube, and then because we were watching. This was around the time that the series version of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared came out, and you still needed to see the last one. So we watched Doctor Who, and then we watched the last episode of the Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared show, and that was our little Halloween celebration.
Our little British night.
Exactly. What could be more terrifying?
I can't laugh this hard during the podcast about the British TV show. We're gonna make so many people mad. Well, they should be.
Yeah, too bad.
Yeah, too bad. So, and then, we both or I graduated first because I think you had to redo a year because you switched
I
majors.
did.
But we're still friends. We still hang out over Discord all the time. I'm excited for you to move closer to New York City so we can hang out a bit more in person again.
I can't wait.
Uh, with all that, although that's how we know each other. That's how we're friends. Hailey, could you please tell us, like, I guess in detail, like, how much you really know about Doctor Who? Like, what characters could you name? Like, what plots are you pretty sure happen?
Okay, and I'm going first out of the two of us because mine's going to be a lot shorter than Mars's.
Yeah.
But, so the vast majority of what I know about Doctor Who comes from just, like, pop culture osmosis. I think the first time I'd ever really heard of it was through the My Little Pony fandom, funny enough, because when I was, like, in my preteen years, I was really, really, really into My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, and I was really, like, not active, but I followed a lot of, like, brony creators and stuff like that. I was very interested, let's say, in the brony community, and for anyone who was in that community at that time knows that there was a background pony, like just a character they would have in the background of shots, who looked like one of the doctors. I believe purely coincidentally, but people turned this into a Doctor Hooves pun type character and just would come up with all these stories and comics and, like, just really imaginative stuff.
It's crazy what they did to that horse.
I know, and the show itself started playing into this because the writers thought it was pretty funny, and they would, like, make little gags, and I think there's a whole, like, half of an episode that's, like, dedicated to Doctor Who jokes. So this was how I first heard of it, and I think I tried to get into it. I think I picked, like, a completely random episode from, like, the first season in the 60s and, like, hardly watched it, which was a very stupid decision.
Just some random old man jabbering.
Exactly. And, alright, so we've discussed how I'm gonna need to bring this up from day one, from the minute that Julia pitched this podcast.
Oh, God.
So an unfortunate fun fact about me, in case I didn't suffer enough, is that I watched a lot of Big Bang Theory when I was in middle school and high school, and anyone who has also unfortunately seen it knows that they like Doctor Who a lot, and they will reference it.
No.
I haven't seen, like, every episode. I probably have seen, like, definitely over half of the seasons, but I don't think they would make too deep references. Like, most of their references to nerd culture in general would be, like, pretty surface level, but I think, like, they had a TARDIS. There was an episode where Sheldon dressed up as one of the doctors. The one with the scarf, I don't know which one that is.
Okay, yeah, that was when I was talking earlier about the Fourth Doctor. So the Fourth Doctor wears this, like, long striped scarf, and when people want to reference Doctor Who, a lot of times they just throw on a long striped scarf and they're like, "Ooh, look, it's the Fourth Doctor." Blah.
And I know they did that in My Little Pony as well. So those are my two main sources of information. Also Community, which is a more recent interest of mine, but anyone who's seen that knows that they also parody Doctor Who very heavily with their, like, autistic coded character, that being his, like, special interest is their version of Doctor Who. And so it's mostly just cultural osmosis, things I've heard in movies and TV shows. Like, I'm familiar with the TARDIS, and it's bigger on the inside, and Daleks, and I've watched, I want to say, 3 episodes with you, Julia.
I think I've shown you Blink. I've shown you The Waters of Mars.
You showed me the Agatha Christie.
I did. One. Okay, I was gonna say, like, I showed you the Unicorn and the Wasp. I'm not sure if I showed you any more than those 3 episodes.
Yes, the one where he's like on a train or something, like in space, and like they're playing, like, things on the screens all at the same time. And his
Midnight! I showed you Midnight. Yeah, I showed you Midnight.
Right.
So I'm sure the Doctor Who fans listening to this probably won't get too mad about me showing you those episodes, because I think they're pretty good standalone episodes. There's nothing referencing the overarching the overarching plot of the season. I think those episodes are pretty solid. Like, I don't know, it's just the Doctor doing wacky things.
Just going on some adventures
with his friends, and sometimes getting sad.
So I pretty much know that the Doctor is, like, an alien who I think has multiple hearts. You explained to me the backstory that they're like the only living of being of their kind. I think from like the Dalek War.
They're gonna Dalek.
What is it, Dalek?
It's Dalek.
You're gonna hear a lot of that from
Yeah.
me, by the way.
No, we should
mispronunciations.
we should always be messing.
A lot of obvious jokes.
Always be messing with the British. They're Daleks and
Yes.
Sonic screwdrivers.
What else? I know there's always a companion. I know that they can't kill Hitler or anything like that because of like, what is it, fixed points in history that they need to leave alone because, you know, it has such a big ripple effect on the rest of history or whatever. I believe Rose is a companion in this one, but I thought she was a companion with the David Tennant Doctor.
I guess we'll find out.
I know you've never seen the show
I've not seen one episode.
I'm under the impression that the Ninth Doctor is like the grumpier one, but I could be wrong. I don't know if that's just like a fandom interpretation or if I'm just making that up. I know the Doctor always has to regenerate, and it's always kind of an emotional thing. And I know there's like a very emotional shot of David Tennant like up against a wall, like Dr. Horrible style, with one of his companions.
Oh my
and
god,
like,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, people lose their minds over that shot. I don't know the context for it at all, but I know it's supposed to be very sad.
I mean, that...
And I shall find out one day.
Yeah, that was my experience with that shot, too, where I found out about like, what the hell is that? I can say that word now.
Oh, and I know about the sonic screwdriver. You explained to me the thing where it's like, that manipulates people with good imaginations.
Oh, the psychic
and, like,
paper.
It doesn't work. Right, and I remember I made the joke, like, oh, so it wouldn't work on Bob Iger. That's a joke for the Disney adults out there, like myself.
Oh, yeah, we're definitely... maybe maybe this will be a hit with the Disney adults, now that Doctor Who is on Disney Plus or whatever.
That's true. Well, I was just going to ask, we're on the 13th now, I believe? 14th?
13th or 14th. Actually, it might be the 15th. No, okay, no, the 13th is the woman.
It's the girl.
So I think we're either on the 14th or 15th. I can't remember the number. Is that everything?
Pretty much. I guess just next Disney trip I'll try and I'll go and meet Doctor Who. Yeah. Get a picture for the Discord.
I'll go see him.
Be like, oh my god, I'm such a huge fan.
Now that we got that out of the way, I'm sorry.
Yeah, your turn.
No, okay. I've been sprinkling a little bit of Doctor Who for Hailey over the course of a few years, but no like major plot point stuff. From what it sounds like, I don't think you know any major plot point stuff, like if people die or whatever. Or, well, maybe you do, I don't know. But I think you'd lack the context where it's like, I don't know what this means. And when you get there, it'll be like, oh, God. So I'll talk about what I know about Doctor Who, which is too much. So my experience with Doctor Who was that in middle school, I had started going to a new school. And at that same time, I was also being introduced to 2013 Tumblr. Which is a fun place to be if you remember that.
It sure was.
Yeah, we had lovely stuff like DashCon and the fakest of fake stories. So both of those things happened at the same time. I was being introduced to 2013 Tumblr, and I also made a new friend at my new school who was a super fangirl of Doctor Who and a bunch of other nerdy stuff. So she was like, you should watch Doctor Who. This is what you should watch. And I was just like, okay. And my experience on Tumblr was that I was seeing a lot of GIFs and GIF sets of Doctor Who and like clips and pictures. And I was just like, I don't know what any of this means, but I'm going to go watch an episode. So I'm probably going to anger a few fans with what I'm about to say. But so 12-year-old me was like, okay, I look up Doctor Who. And I guess in my mind, I didn't realize it was the type of show with like overarching season plots. And I thought it was kind of like a cartoon where I didn't think it was a cartoon, but I thought it was formulaic like a cartoon in the sense that you could kind of just pluck an episode and just watch it. And you can kind of do that with Doctor Who. Like I said, there's episodes I've shown Hailey where you can do that, but it really depends. Like obviously you probably can't do season finales, you know. Or like this sorry.
Sonic
You,
screwdriver.
yeah, we should have, if we do accidentally swear, that should be like our censor sound.
Oh, that was
like
your idea ages
Oh,
ago.
really? Sorry,
Yeah.
I have the crappiest memory, people.
Yeah, that's a good thing we should mention to help tell us apart, is that I have the much better memory of the two of us.
Yeah, if I've said something and then Hailey goes, "Yeah, you said that already," I'll be like, "Oh, really?"
I could lie to people and manipulate. I've been like jokingly referred to as like my friend's secretary.
Yeah.
Because none of my friends have a good memory, but
Basically,
I do.
that's why
I remember everything everyone says.
That's why Hailey's going to be in charge of social media, because I'm not going to remember
Yep.
posting anything. So 12-year-old me, I look up episodes because I think it's like you could pluck them out of nowhere and just watch them. So my silly self decides to, as a kid who was interested in history, I saw there was an episode called Let's Kill Hitler, and I was like, oh, I hate that guy. I want to watch them kill him. So I went to season 6, episode 8 of Doctor Who, and went and watched it. And without saying too much for Hailey's sake, there's overarching plot lines for that episode. I believe most of the episode is just setting up this one character or setting up the backstory for this one character that's very important for like current and future seasons. So, I remember what I was gonna say. I was gonna say like ever since Stephen Moffat, that silly guy, ever since he came on the show, every episode has been about overarching plots. So this is not a podcast with me as a Stephen Moffat lover. I kind of don't like that guy. If I met him on the street, I would probably be like, "Hey man, I'm gonna." I can't threaten people online. Hey man, I'm gonna give you a stern look and not talk to you as a doctor.
I'm gonna give you a stern talking to.
But anyway, so I watched Let's Kill Hitler. I was pretty confused about certain plot lines that happened in that episode. I was like, okay, then I guess I probably should watch this in order. And so instead of starting from the 9th or 10th Doctor, I start with the 11th Doctor because I liked him as a 12-year-old. Don't be mad at me. I thought he was cute when I was 12. I realized he never had eyebrows, which is very weird looking on a person. I'm sorry, Matt Smith, but you don't have eyebrows, and I'm not gonna judge your character based off that, but I don't think 12-year-old me should have found you cute. I'm so sorry, and been so distracted by that I skipped the 9th and 10th Doctor seasons is what I'm leading up to say. But I watched all of the 11th Doctor seasons that were out at that time, which was about 2013. After that, I got really, really into Doctor Who, and as someone who is neurodivergent, that basically means I hyperfixated on it for like a couple years, and it became the only thing I thought about, the only thing I talked about, aside from Sherlock BBC, my fellow Tumblerinas, you know what we went through. And so I did eventually start watching the 9th and 10th Doctor, so I got those out of the way, and I was caught up with the 11th Doctors. I got a lot of merch. I will be listing all the merch I got now that I remember, which was a TARDIS notebook, a TARDIS hoodie, a TARDIS magnet lamp. I got 3 different sonic screwdrivers, multiple shirts, and of course a very large TARDIS backpack that I wore all around school for like at least a year. And I'm so surprised I didn't get bullied at my high school. I would have deserved to get bullied. I remember this was also around the time I was finding out about D&D, so I remember putting my D&D books in that backpack and carrying them around in school. The nerdiest possible kid you could have ever imagined. So I believe the first time I watched like a premiere episode after I was caught up was the 50th anniversary, which is a crazy episode to, watch and be like, oh my, this is my first episode live, because so many things are happening in that episode. After that, I watched like the new season with the 11th Doctor, then he regenerated, and I watched Peter Capaldi. Peter Capaldi, I love you, I love you, I love you, Peter Capaldi. Please come on my show. I want to talk to you. And I mean, I don't know. I don't keep up with what he does in person. I'm not that socially, what is it? I'm not that parasocial. I don't really know what he's up to these days. But man, if you have the free time, I'd love to have you on the show. Hi, if you're listening to this. The 12th Doctor. So I watched the 12th Doctor. I watched all his episodes up until season 9. I remember I would watch it. I would watch the weekly episodes with my dad whenever I was at his house. Divorce kid check. I switched houses every week with my parents, and whenever I was at my dad's house, I'd watch the 12th Doctor episode with my dad, and I'm sure he was very confused about what was going on, especially when I would be crying in certain episodes. I did stop watching at the end of season 9. I think I watched the finale, and I was like, pretty good. I think the hyperfixation is starting to slow down. It's been like 2 years, and it can only go for so long. That's not necessarily true. I have long-term hyperfixations. And I did stop watching around season 9. Also, it was just a bit hard to keep up with it because me watching the episodes basically had to be me relying that the TV I was watching on had a BBC channel because it only aired on BBC.
Right. Which
is not necessarily guaranteed for American TVs unless you pay like a bunch of hundreds of dollars basically every month, which is unfortunate. I do have a funny story. When I was watching season 9 of Doctor Who, I was so obsessed with catching the premieres live, like on time, so I could avoid spoilers on Tumblr. I I remember I was on vacation to visit like my aunt and my cousin, and my mom had to go to, my mom and my siblings went to a hotel to stay at, and I was like, please, I can't watch Doctor Who BBC on the hotel TV, and I have to catch tonight's episode. And so my aunt was like, okay, you can stay here. You can stay at my house for the night just so you can watch the episode. And I was like, yes! And let me tell you, it was so worth it because that episode was Listen, which is one of the best 12th Doctor episodes in my opinion. It was so good. I loved it so much. But yeah, after season 9, I kind of fell out of it. I didn't watch the later... I haven't watched any episodes after season 9. I'm very sorry, Billy the companion, but I'm sure you're really great. We will eventually get to those episodes. I am willing to watch, once we catch up, which will probably be a while, I guess.
Yeah.
From where we're at. Fun fact, I met the 7th Doctor in New York one time when I was out eating at like a fancy dinner for like, I don't remember. I think it was just Christmas, and my family had come to visit me in college. We went to a fancy dinner, and I was wearing jeans at this fancy restaurant, and my youngest sibling was wearing my old Doctor Who hoodie that I had mentioned previously that I had given, because I just didn't really wear it anymore. One of the waiters at that fancy restaurant went up to my sibling and was just like, hey, the doctor is coming. And I had to like scooch them out of the way and be like, who's coming? Who? And there's like, just the doctor. And I was like, which one? There's like 20 of them. And I found out it was one of the classic Who doctors. Let me make sure it's the 7th Doctor. I'm going to look it up real quick. 7th Doctor. Yeah, it was the 7th Doctor. It was the actor for the 7th Doctor. I should say his name. Sylvester McCoy. Mr. Sylvester McCoy. I got to see him in person. He was with some people. And we took some pictures with him. But my youngest sibling was just getting all the attention because they were the one wearing the Doctor Who hoodie, even though I was the one who gave it. I gave it up. That should have been me. But I got to take pictures too, so that was really fun. What else? I think that's it for the most part. That's like my main experience. I've seen seasons 1 through 9. I've seen all those episodes. That's everything I know about the Doctor. And I'm very excited to show Hailey some episodes.
I'm very excited too.
This isn't the end of the episode. We're going to talk about like some more like miscellaneous information. If you're still here, don't touch that dial. We've got a bit more information about the pod, which is that we're still fairly new, so we're looking into stuff like Patreon and stuff, but we do have a Discord. I believe by the time of this episode's release, it should be up. It's going to be like a free Discord for anyone who's a fan of the podcast to join in and watch. We're going to have like a spoiler-free chat and a spoiler chat. So for those of you who are like new to the show, like our dear friend Hailey here, we're going to have a chat specifically for that's caught up with the podcast. So if there's any spoilers, if we're on like season 1 with the 9th Doctor, you're not allowed to talk about the 11th or 10th Doctor until we get to those episodes. But if you do, we have a spoiler chat that you're free to chat in. And we're gonna be putting like all like updates to like our social medias in the Discord, like episode links. Hopefully we get a Patreon set up because I think that'll be fun. What are we putting on Patreon again?
We're gonna have recordings of us watching the episodes, for me, for the first time.
Oh yeah, commentary tracks, basically.
Yeah, notes that we take during the episodes. I know our goals eventually is that we want to, like, start, if we make enough money, we could use it to buy Doctor Who-related video games.
Yeah, we really
specifically Doctor Who's Seen It.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we really want to play Doctor Who's Seen It. And we want to use, like, if the proceeds of the podcast just to pay for, like, crappy, like, 2000s Doctor Who quiz games. I think we'll try to have early access to episodes. We're going to be trying, like, filming things in advance, not filming. We're going to be trying to record things in advance so we can have, like, early episodes for people who are subscribed to Patreon. I think also I want to put, like, on Patreon specifically, like, bonus content of, like, Doctor Who fan projects and stuff. Like, maybe we could get into more, like, Doctor Who's from My Little Pony on there.
Yes.
There's this band called Chameleon Circuit I really want to show you. I think I sent you a TikTok last night talking about it.
I'll have to check.
Yeah, and so a bunch of fun stuff to do there. But the main meat of the podcast will all be free on, like, I guess, anywhere you can get your podcasts, or we'll try to be anywhere you can get your podcasts. We're aiming for Spotify at least, but I know Apple Podcasts is a popular thing. Let us know in the comments where to upload.
Send carrier pigeons to our house,
Send
please.
them now. We're going to... Oh, and also YouTube. I think the main 3 is Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube.
Yes.
If there's anywhere else you would like to listen that you don't listen to those places, that let us know so we can put it on things that you listen to. So we should talk about podcast schedule. So what we're planning on doing is we're probably going to pick a day in the week, and we're going to upload hopefully once a week at least. And I think what we're going to try to do is we're going to, because this isn't, our, like, regular jobs. We have, like, in-person jobs we do. This is just a hobby. We're going to be taking, like, the last week of the month off. So if it's like if we upload every Monday, the last Monday of the month we're going to be taking off, just to give us a little break so we can, like, get caught up and, like, maybe use that week to record, like, mass record a bunch of stuff so we can, like, get it prepared. Other than that, Hailey, where can they find you outside of the podcast?
You can find me on Instagram at Hailey, which is with an I, so Hailey M Dorritie, which I will need to spell that for you. That is Dorritie. I am on Twitter, which I refuse to refer to as X.
Yeah.
H Dorritie, so again, Dorritie. And then I am on Tumblr as Art of Hailey with an ID.
Like, anything we should be looking forward to in the future from you?
Well, like I said, I've got my children's book that I made the majority of it for my thesis. I'm currently querying different publishers and agents, trying to get it published. If there happens to be a children's book publisher or agent who's interested, please feel free to hit me up. I have my email on most of my social medias. But I'm planning on... I just recently finished querying for that. If I don't receive any interested people in about a year or so, I'm going to self-publish it, and you'll hear more about that across episodes. I have other children's books that I'm working on. I have a novel that I'm kind of sort of working on at the moment. I just have lots of projects all the time that I like to keep busy with. But that's kind of my main project, so hopefully I'll have some updates on that soon.
All right. As for me,
How about you?
As for me, on most places, you can find me at like Jam Cam Pasta, like JAM, CAMP, or CAM Pasta, PASTA. It's a very silly name that I came up with in high school, and it's my brand now. I must live with it. I'm on YouTube. If you guys know about Heather's musicals, I did a bunch of animatics for that when I was like 14. They're all unlisted though because they're not very good. I really want to upload more to YouTube though. I have like art projects I want to do, but also I have executive dysfunction, which makes it hard to work on stuff, and if I think about it too hard, I won't do it. But I'm also on Tumblr and Twitter. Once a Tumblr girly, always a Tumblr girly.
Of course.
So I'm probably the most active on Tumblr. If I have art I want to post, I usually post it there, and then like a month later I'll post it on Twitter because I forget Twitter exists.
I also feel it's worth mentioning that we also do both take commissions.
Yeah, we both. Yeah.
If you want something drawn for your loved one, hit one of us up.
We do,
or both of us.
Yeah, we do illustrations. We did the art for the thumbnail. I believe it should be done by the time we're recording this. At the time of posting. At the time of posting, the art should be done. At the time of recording, we are still working on it.
Mm-hmm. I am on the right. And Julia is on the left, by the way, to help you visualize what we look like.
I've got the longer hair. Hailey's got the shorter hair. Hailey's the most white. I'm the least white.
I'm the most chunky. Julia's the least chunky.
That's us. I'm Pinky, and Hailey's the brain. I'm very excited to see what sort of personalities people assign to us, if any at all.
Oh, me too.
This is like the main project I'm working on, or at least trying to work on. Any other projects I do are like D&D stuff I usually do with my friends. I do DM Dungeon Master stuff, and I try to at least. But I also want to do like more storyboards in the future. I really love to be a storyboard artist. That's what I went to school for. But I'm also down for getting hired for animation. So not only do I do commissions, I hire me for animation or storyboarding because I like doing it. I also like doing comics.
Hire me to draw anything, please.
Hire me, please. This industry, it's being taken over by robots, and I hate it here.
If you have a children's book that you want illustrated, please.
Please, God. Anyway.
You can also find the show as Me, You, and Doctor Who on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube, I believe.
Yeah, Hailey is going to be in charge of social medias. I'm in charge of editing stuff. So if you're saying hi, it'll probably be Hailey saying hi back, but Hailey will probably Hailey will probably say hi back because Hailey is a very nice person.
Oh, thank you.
But occasionally I might hop on and be like, "It's me. I'm here."
Anyone saying hello, if you get a "goodbye, I hate you," that's
I hate you. I hate you. I hate
you. Stop watching my show.
I'm shy. We also, I think sometimes if our username is too long, it might just be me, you, and DW.
Right.
But yeah, other than that, I think that's the end of this episode.
It's been a pleasure meeting you all, and we look forward to going on some timey-wimey space adventures with you all.
Oh my goodness. And I'm assigning you all homework. Learn the difference between our voices so we're different people to you. I don't know if there's differences. I know I have trouble with it. I know other people might have trouble with it. I'm the cool one. Hailey's the silly one.
Yeah!
Okay, well that'll be all. We'll come up with a cooler outro in the future, I guess. Well, bye!
Bye!
Hi everyone, thanks for listening to our show. This was created by me, Julia, and Hailey Dorritie. The cover art and thumbnails were illustrated by the two of us and edited by me. Episodes also edited by me, and social medias are run by Hailey Dorritie. The theme song and other sound effects are made by half.cool. You can find us on Instagram at MeUAND Doctor Who. You can find us on Twitter at MeUANDDW. And you can also find us on TikTok, MeUAND Doctor Who. You should be able to find us wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Still figuring all this out, so bear with us. Thank you so much for listening. Bye!